Hello everybody, it is me, Alex the Hunted. You know, Godzilla, like many other fictional characters, has a robotic doppelganger. Seriously, this happens so many times. But Godzilla has maybe the most famous with Mechagodzilla. And we've had a few Mechagodzillas over the years, and I think I should rank them all from my least favourite to my favourite. And I'll be only doing the official ones. No fan-made Mechagodzilla designs. I'm basically going off what Wikizilla says is as an official Mechagodzilla. Apart from the chibi one and that black one that was in that weird show that they made out of the toys. But anyway, here are my ranking of every Mechagodzilla from worst to best, in my opinion. Starting with number 7 and the worst. Coming in last place, and I think is the worst Mechagodzilla, is the Mechagodzilla from the anime trilogy. Because even with its terrible implementation into the trilogy, and the fact that they actually lied on the promotional material, and that this movie is terrible, I just don't think the design is very good. I think it's just awful. It feels like a design they just couldn't stop designing or adding to, like here's another spike or here's another attachment, and just make it a load of sharp corners and shapes, until what we were left with was just unrecognisable. All Mechagodzillas have a unique outline and shape and silhouette that makes them look like a robotic Godzilla. They look like Mechagodzilla. But this one, when you get its silhouette and its outline, it's just an absolute onslaught of sharp spikes. It doesn't look like anything really, it's just an absolute mess. And also what's most frustrating about it is, well, reading the production notes and guide to this Mechagodzilla, they gave it a lot of cool abilities like nanotechnology to create its own weapons and shifts, and mould its own appearance. And what did we get when the movie came out? Just another city for Godzilla to blow up. And just look at this poster. When you look at this poster, you think Godzilla is going to fight Mechagodzilla in this movie, and not a city. Yeah, this is my least favourite Mechagodzilla because, while it's got really interesting abilities, we never saw them on screen really, and it just looks awful. We only saw it briefly in the anime trilogy, and maybe that was for the best because, Christ, everything about this trilogy just sucked, didn't it? Oh well. Number 6. What? Why is Godzilla on this list? This is clearly Godzilla and not Mechagodzilla wearing a Godzilla fairy suit. I joke, of course, this is of course fake Godzilla, which has his own different entry on the wiki, so hey, to pad out this video, it counts. This was the fake Godzilla used in Godzilla vs Mechagodzilla. Fake Godzilla was basically Mechagodzilla dressed up as Godzilla for some reason. Just so he could wreak havoc on the entire population of Japan and beat up Anguirus, because every kaiju has to do that. Anguirus is the war for the Godzilla franchise. He is strong in his own right, but he just has to get his ass kicked to show how powerful the new kaiju is. After starting with a really unusual entrance coming out flying out of a rock, fake Godzilla is a fun concept. I like how they make this fake Godzilla look like Godzilla, but they put things off about him that just makes him look, well, a bit wrong. Like, obviously, his roar is just Mechagodzilla's hissing roar, and that his atomic breath isn't really atomic breath, it's this orange beam, which he never uses when he becomes Mechagodzilla. So technically fake Godzilla was also the first Godzilla to have orange atomic breath. I guess. I don't think so. And the fact when you see his movement and how he walks, he walks a lot more stiff and mechanical, like a robot. And because of this fake Godzilla, we got the brief moment of having two Godzillas on screen fighting each other, which is amazing for how short it lasts, and we're probably never going to get it again. But this does lead me to a question. Why did the simians, you know, the monkey aliens, do this? Like, I don't think it's ever brought up in the movie why they dressed up Mechagodzilla to look like Godzilla. What was the actual plan around it? To turn the military against Godzilla or something? Well, we actually don't see the military in this movie at all, so I don't know why they did this apart from just for the movie's sake of having a nice visual of two Godzillas on screen. Still, worth it, despite the fact it had no explanation at all. Number 5. Oh, I'm going to get some comments for this, aren't I? Yes, the latest Mechagodzilla from Godzilla vs Kong is at the lower end of my list, and for one simple reason. I'm not the biggest fan of the design. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not a bad design, but when you put it up against all the other Mechagodzillas that we've had, it just doesn't really work for me. It's just a bit off. I think it's mostly the proportions. Like, I know people joke about saying the legendary Godzilla is too fat, but this Mechagodzilla is too thin for me. He's very narrow and very boxy. And I know they did it to make it look realistic, but in my opinion, the first Mechagodzilla and Kiryu look more realistic than this design. In my opinion, of course. But there are plenty I do love about it, like I do love how they keep the staples of Mechagodzilla. Like how he has jets and his missiles that just fire out of everywhere. And they gave him a red beam, which is a great contrast to Godzilla's atomic breath. Also, this is the first Mechagodzilla to actually do something with his tail. I know the first Mechagodzilla was supposed to have like a blade in his tail, but we never saw it on screen. But this Mechagodzilla has a tail that it uses as a weapon. And we've never seen that before in a Mechagodzilla, unbelievably. The tail's just always been there for some reason, and it served no real purpose. But this Mechagodzilla, well, uses it as a fifth limb in a way. Also, the concept of King Ghidorah's brain being used to control Mechagodzilla, causing it to basically be possessed by Ghidorah and go on a rampage, is bizarre but brilliant and fun, and a fun idea that I'm surprised actually they've never done before. And is a great way to make this Mechagodzilla evil without it being humanity's fault. Well, it is humanity's fault, but they didn't make an evil robot, it just got possessed by an evil kaiju. You know, Godzilla movies are like that. Also, I do believe that this Mechagodzilla would have beaten Godzilla and Kong if they had not teamed up. Because, yeah, I know people make the excuse, oh, Godzilla was tired by the time he had to fight Mechagodzilla, but, I mean, let's be honest, these two were, he was absolutely getting his ass kicked, and didn't actually play that much of a factor in destroying it, and I definitely think, one-on-one, King Kong would have got his absolute ass handed to him by Mechagodzilla. So yeah, if they didn't team up, Mechagodzilla would have probably killed Godzilla and Kong. This was a great Hollywood portrayal of one of Godzilla's most famous adversaries. I'm just not the biggest fan of the design. Number 4. Here we are with the first human-made Mechagodzilla. Mechagodzilla 2. Well, it's technically Mechagodzilla 3, but it's called Mechagodzilla 2. From Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, and I think is one of the most powerful mechas that we have ever seen in the Godzilla franchise. I mean, it was just so OP, Godzilla needed a power-up to blow it up. Which I'm sure made the Japanese economy, well, they enjoyed that. But it's amazing how powerful this robot version of Godzilla is. It has so many weapons, and it looks even more badass when it becomes Super Mechagodzilla. And it really helps the design, which, while some people criticizing it for not looking menacing enough, I disagree, because this Mechagodzilla was made by the military. It was designed to look like a weapon, and it was also designed to be the flagship of G-Force, so they wouldn't want it to look, you know, evil. Like, they didn't. I don't think it would have been a good idea for G-Force to make an evil-looking Mechagodzilla, if you know what I mean. So it does look more rounded and more friendly-looking in a way. However, that's not my issue with it. My issue with it is more the design just doesn't look robotic enough in a way. I think it's just that it's too shiny. I know it's a weird criticism, but I just think the paint finish makes it look, well, a bit too plastic and not like it's made out of metal. And it's all metal, it doesn't look like it has many joints, you know, you don't see much joints and connecting, I don't know, circuitry or whatever it is, to make it look more like a robot. It looks like a plastic toy, not metal. And maybe it is because of the diamond coating that was forged to, I don't know, just reflect Godzilla's beam back at him or something like that. Which is a very awesome idea, and it was very bloody effective. I mean, like I said, Godzilla needed to absorb Rodan to actually, well, melt the diamond. But it just doesn't make it look that good. Also, I do like the origin story of how Mechagodzilla was backwards engineered from the remains of Mecha King Ghidorah. I said that wrong there. Which is a very cool origin story, because, yeah, how else would they make a giant robot unless they, you know, got a giant three-headed cyborg dragon from the future that got destroyed in an earlier movie. It's Godzilla, just accept it. Also, I think this is the only Mechagodzilla to do its job. This was a Mechagodzilla that was made to kill Godzilla, and it did it. He successfully killed him. He successfully brought down Godzilla. Godzilla was killed in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. It only took Rodan fusing with him and repaired and brought Godzilla back to life, is how Mechagodzilla 2 lost. Mechagodzilla 2 was a anti-kaiju weapon, and it not only took out Godzilla, successfully bringing him down, but it also fatally wounded Rodan. So I would probably call Mechagodzilla 2 the most successful Mechagodzilla at doing its job. Also, when he becomes Super Mechagodzilla, he just looks so much more badass, but then again, shoulder cannons always look cool. And he looks awesome, he looks like he's made out of plastic. That's the only real criticism I have about him. Number 3! So, number 3 is not from a Godzilla movie. Yes, it is the Mechagodzilla from Ready Player One, and he is an official Mechagodzilla licensed by Toho, so he counts. And he was for Ready Player One, a completely new design that was based on the original concept design for Mechagodzilla 2 that was used in the poster for Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. I think he looks really good, like he's an updated version of the original Mechagodzilla. And I don't know, part of me thinks that this was originally going to be the design for Mechagodzilla in Godzilla vs. Kong. I mean, think about it, both movies were being made around about the same time, only for Godzilla King of the Monsters and Godzilla vs. Kong to be delayed, but Ready Player One came out first. And this Mechagodzilla has very similar abilities. It has its own beam, it lights up, and, you know, it shoots missiles and all that other good stuff. This is maybe only a theory, but I definitely do think that this design probably would have been better than the one that we got in Godzilla vs. Kong. Yes, it does have very limited screen time, but it does kick the Iron Giant's ass, which makes him the most evil Mechagodzilla to have ever been Mechagodzilla. You know, he beats up the Iron Giant. That's super evil, that. Very limited screen time, but a pretty awesome and memorable moment to the final battle of that movie. Honestly, I kind of wish we got more of this design. Maybe in an upcoming movie or something we can actually get this Mechagodzilla in an actual Godzilla movie. That would be fun. Number 2. The first Mechagodzilla, and technically the second, but it was more Mechagodzilla 1, 2. It's Mechagodzilla, the first Mechagodzilla, and he's a really intimidating design, and he's absolutely evil. And unlike other Mechagodzillas that seem to be controlled by a person or by an alien or anything like that, this Mechagodzilla seems to have an AI, because he doesn't really seem to be controlled, he's just given orders and he goes out and does them. And he's probably one of the most brutal fighters out of all the Mechagodzilla. Like how he beats up Godzilla and King Caesar, just brutally causing Godzilla to just become a Tarantino movie and bleed everywhere. He's probably the villain that caused the Showa era Godzilla the most damage. Like he's literally spraying blood out of his neck everywhere and he's just covered in blood by the end of the fight. This Mechagodzilla design also just makes him look very intimidating. He has got a very nice dull finish on him, which makes him look very robotic, but also just intimidating. Like he's got this glare and look to him that just makes him look very threatening. Like he will absolutely kill you. Like, well, he's a weapon, he's designed to do that. Also, this Mechagodzilla has an amazing array of weapons. Eye lasers, chest lasers, missiles out of every single body part you can imagine. I think like its mouth, nose, arms, hands, legs, toes, you name it, he's probably got missiles shooting out of it. While he is very, very deadly at far range, he's not so much deadly when it comes to close combat fighting. He's not unable to fight hand to hand, he is more than able to, but he's way more effective at range. But, I mean, he was very sadistic when he was fighting King Caesar, just shoving his hand down King Caesar's throat. That's a bit evil, he's very evil. I really have nothing bad to say about this Mechagodzilla, apart from maybe the sequel movie hypes him up a bit too much, like he's this massively upgraded Mechagodzilla, and he doesn't really show any of his upgrades apart from his spinning missile, which they don't really explain very well. And the terror of Mechagodzilla doesn't really last very long. But still, it's always fun watching him unload everything into Godzilla and whoever else seems to be there. That all-weapon attack he does is just so brilliant. They kind of try to keep using it in the other games, but it never looks as cool as it does in this movie. Also, I like how the upgraded Mechagodzilla, they fixed the reason why he was defeated in the first movie by making him able to still keep on fighting after he loses his head. That's kind of awesome how they just decided, instead of Godzilla beating him the same way again, let's just fix it, making sure that can't happen. So yes, the first Mechagodzilla and the benchmark for all other Mechagodzillas to be judged. And number 1, of course, is Mechagodzilla 3. Kiryu Mechaji Ghost Godzilla. He has many names, but he is the best Mechagodzilla, in my opinion. What makes this Mechagodzilla so great is the way he looks. I think he is the most realistic looking Mechagodzilla that we've ever had. Yes, I know he's built out of the skeleton of the original Godzilla, which obviously, yeah, that's so realistic, but you just look at that design and you think, yeah, I could see that being built. It's an amazing design and an amazing idea for the origin of him being built around the skeleton, which is probably the closest we're ever going to get to Godzilla vs. Godzilla, apart from that brief fight they had in the first Mechagodzilla movie. As a design, I also love how he's not just all metal. You can actually see the tubing and linkage and joints all around the body, giving this design a way more agile and more mobile looking Mechagodzilla. He's nowhere near as stiff as all the other Mechagodzillas. He's probably the most well-rounded Mechagodzilla there is. He's both able to do long range and close combat. And, well, he kicks the ass of probably the weakest Godzilla that we've ever had. Also, I know I complained about Mechagodzilla 2's armor looking too shiny. Well, this Mechagodzilla's armor is also shiny, but it's not too bright and shiny. It doesn't look too plastic. It still has a bit of a plasticky look to it, but it looks better than the second Mechagodzilla. Also, I like how they made the way that this Mechagodzilla is powered a plot point of the movie. Most of the time it's just sort of passed off as always nuclear powered or something like that. But instead, this Mechagodzilla is an eco-friendly Mechagodzilla because he is solar powered. He is the weapon of mass destruction that Greenpeace love. Apart from when the ghost of the first Godzilla takes him over and goes on a bit of a rampage. Which is, yeah, that's my main complaint with this one, is the idea of Ghost Godzilla basically possessing this Mechagodzilla. They bring it up and then never really do anything with it. That's my one complaint about it, is just missed potential in a way. But he does also look intimidating, but not threatening. He looks like he could be both good and evil. Which, I mean, is part of the story. Of which side is this Mechagodzilla on? They don't really do enough with that in my opinion, but it's a really good idea and it makes him one of my favourite Mechagodzillas. He's probably the best designed, the most well-rounded, and just a total badass. He is, in my opinion, the best Mechagodzilla. And that was my ranking. Tell me what you think about it in the comments below. And be sure to subscribe, comment, and help me against the fight against the greatest kaiju of them all, the YouTube algorithm kaiju. And be sure, if you want to help me out even more, just give me $1 on Patreon, and you know, you get some. You're just helping me out. But anyway, tell me what you think your Mechagodzilla ranking is in the comments below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.